Welcome to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two romance-loving friends recap kissing books while cackling and going on tangents. So many tangents. If you haven't yet, today, May 1st, is the last day you can back the Dangerous Tides Kickstarter with a physical reward to get your complimentary piece of 8. Be sure to back by 12:30 p.m. Eastern today, because that is the 72-hour cutoff. Remember, when you back, your card won't actually be charged until May 19th when the campaign ends. These piece of 8 coins have brought me so much joy, like making them, getting the samples in our hands. They've just been incredible. So I want to send them to as many of you as I possibly can. I'm actually recording this days before we launch the project, so present me doesn't know how it's gone so far. If you've already backed, thank you so much, and I'm really excited to get you your pirate ebooks, the special edition, flippy floppy, foiled books, the amazing step back and vellum art, and everything else we've created. Atlantis is waiting for you. Today, though, we embark on a journey. It starts with a way, way back machine and continues in a 3-episode saga. Yeah, HB, Sabrina, and I could not stop talking about The Bride by Julie Garwood, so we'll be in Highlander Times for the foreseeable future. Here we go.
Yo, I have so much shit to say about this book.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So, I guess we'll get going.
Yeah, let's get going.
I gotta know, how was your general feelings about The Bride by Julie Garwood?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I fucking loved it. I was like a pig in slop in this book.
Okay, I went in with a open heart and a wary mind.
Okay.
So I went in with an open heart and a wary mind because I was like, this book was published in 1989.
Yeah.
And I had to before I even started reading, I sat myself down.
Yes, you did.
And I had a personal talk with myself.
And you said, Sabrina. Manage your expectations.
This book is going to have probably problems with consent.
Oh, absolutely.
Check. This book is going to have some sexist jokes.
Yes.
Check.
Most definitely. Necrophilic sexist jokes. That was not on my bingo card. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't get in, I don't start reading books that have necrophilic sex until Halloween bingos. So I'm 6 months ahead of time.
Absolutely. You've got this banked for all your challenges.
Yeah, right. I'm not rereading it. Although so I do see why Julie Garwood is a name.
Totally.
In romance though.
Totally. This thing was fucking riveting.
Did you read the foreword?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. Okay.
What
so
a dumbass.
I bought this book on ebook.
Okay.
And there's because every time I open a book, I hate that ebooks automatically open to chapter 1 or the prologue. And so I always open, click, go to the very beginning cover, and then I swipe through just to see if there's anything in there. Because I like reading the
dedications
and the foreword was really touching because she was talking essentially about how when she first started publishing, they were like, you can't be funny. You write historical romance. Things like that. And what prompted this, or not what prompted the foreword, but one of the things that she talks about in the foreword is how somebody asked her if you could live in one of the worlds of your books, which one? And so she went through a bunch, and then she was like, it's The Bride. It's The Bride. Because this was the first one that she wrote where she was like, you know what? I'm going to let myself be funny.
Yes.
And I legitimately laughed out loud so much.
She nailed it.
I laughed at things that I would never laugh at in a book published in 2023.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you have to come to a book where it is, you know? And like, as long as you do that, this book is great and you'll be a pig in slop. There's a really good chance. I cannot with this book. I was so happy the entire time. So happy. Okay. So we've got the bride by, I lost you. Okay.
I'm here.
There we go. Hello.
I'm here.
Hello. I lost your window. I Muppet flailed, and then I hit my mouse, and then I couldn't see you anymore, and I panicked.
It's okay.
So we've got The Bride by Julie Garwood, and it's like, it does everything I want an old school historical to do right from the fucking gate, including, but not limited to, a maniacal inner monologue about a murder.
Oh,
like,
my God. What the actual not just a murder. This book opens with him burying his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Because she apparently killed herself.
Yeah. She did die by suicide. And
there's
it's like unconsecrated ground times now.
I literally wrote while I was reading, I was like, what? Because they were like, she can't be buried in the church because everyone's going to be like affected by her,
because
the fact that she's like going to hell and sinning. And I was like, what is this? The fucking banana in the fruit bowl making everybody else go bad? Like, what?
Honestly, that's a great way to put it. Wow. I would not have come up with that, but shit, Sabrina. Yeah, basically. I think that's right.
Like, you can't, like, you don't keep the bananas with the rest of the fruit because apparently they killed themselves. But also, like, what? Like, oh God, clearly we don't have any understanding or like empathy for people who have any. But then, so like, not only do we have no empathy for people who are in a place where like that seems like their only option, but also that we find out JK, she didn't kill herself. Some fucking italicized monologue crazy fucker smothered her with a plaid.
And that was after she got like pushed off a cliff, okay? This poor bitch, listen to me. Listen, she fucking gets married, and she gets married right after she pops a baby out, we find out, okay? And like, that's rough.
And her husband's been only dead like 2 months.
Also that.
Like,
yeah.
And we don't even know any of this yet. We find that out like 75%. At this point, we just know this bitch, as far as we know, she killed herself. Alec is the hero. Alec thinks that she killed herself. Everyone thinks that she killed herself. And then you have this italicized monologue of some person being like oh, literally. Okay, I highlighted it. It's, I got away with murder. Oh, how I wish I could boast of my cunning. I cannot say a word, of course, and I dare not let my joy show in my gaze. Yeah. Literally, my note is, pardon?
Hey, girl.
Who the fuck?
What's going on there? And like this poor thing, she gets pushed off a fucking cliff, and then she doesn't die for 2 days. She lays there with a broken back for 2 fucking days, and then she gets fucking smothered with a plaid.
We are going to talk about 11. So for clarification, listener.
Yes, please tell them the times.
We are not just going blast to the past in a romance novel written in 1989. This book is set, this book is set in 1100 BC.
Yeah. No.
Scotland / England.
No, come on, that's not BC.
No, not BC. I meant CE for current era.
Yeah.
I literally did this problem because I kept saying BCE, and my friend was like, I don't know that means what you think it means. I was like,
they pulled a Princess Bride on you? That's rough.
They really did.
That's savage.
I was like, I think you're right. But it's CE. So it's 1100.
Yeah. Listen, it's Highlander times, and it's like pre-medieval times. I don't even know what times these are.
I had to keep reminding myself that this is such an old-timey book. Like, because I kept to like reference, because I read a lot of historicals, and I kept having to remind myself, bitch, this is not the Victorian era. This is not the Edwardian era.
No, they barely have chamber pots.
It's honestly shock. Can I just comment that every single time they were like, oh yeah, we're drinking the water, I was like, can you do that?
Don't do that. You gotta drink the ale. It's the only one that's safe.
At one point, we'll get there, but like when Angus, like Jamie's like, you can't drink the wine, Angus. And he's like, give me the wine. And she's like, you have to have water. I'm like, bitch, no, that's probably going to hurt him worse than the alcohol.
Absolutely. Give him the whiskey.
Ma'am.
Everybody.
Let this man be drunk.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so listen, we
Going
open
back.
up. There is a selfish baron. We've got ourselves a selfish baron, okay? He's got every daughter
awful.
on the planet. Yes. He's also awful. And like, I love the fact that you start the book thinking that he is like, like an annoying guy, but like a really good guy. And then by the end of the book, you're like, oh my God, wow. He's like terrible on every level.
Did you get weird, creepy vibes?
Yes.
That he wanted to marry her at some point?
Absolutely.
Okay, because when I was reading, I was like, sir, are you grooming this child?
Yeah. No, I'm positive he is. So, okay, listen. Backstory is that
I'm so sorry.
No worries. We're going to do this. It's going to be a winding road, but we'll get there and we'll laugh along the way, listener, okay? So, backstory. Her mom did marry this man when she was pregnant with the heroine whose name is Jamie.
Jamie.
Yes.
A man's name.
It's a man's name. I mean, and sorry, honestly, as an Outlander reader, I kept on being like, oh, you're talking about Jamie. That's the hero. No. And
I kept thinking this was a nod to Outlander. And then I was like, no, this came out.
Oh my God, Outlander didn't exist.
Outlander.
Holy shit. I mean, I was 2 years old when this book was published. So
I was not even a twinkle.
I knew it. You young buck. Wow. Wow. Can I call you a young buck? Is that a thing?
I'll accept that.
Okay.
I'll accept it. But no, like Outlander did not exist. Like when people talk about romance novels, they're like, Outlander is and I'm like, Outlander wasn't a thing.
No.
When this was written,
no.
Outlander also was not a twinkle in Diana
Gabaldon's eyes. No, totally.
Yep.
Yeah. Gaboodly bonds. So, okay, so her mom married this baron when she was pregnant with Jamie, and she named her Jamie because the dude's name is like Jameson or something. And so it was her way of being like, you accept daughter, please? Oh God, please be nice to daughter. And purportedly, he did. Everybody says, oh, he took her in. What a wonderful man. And like, he did the wow. And he calls her his favorite. He's like, my full blood daughters. Yeah, my full blood daughters fucking blow. Mm-hmm. Like, they take after me. He doesn't say that, but I do.
They're not great.
They're not great.
Like, okay, we'll get there. But just if you are a full-blooded Jameson, I got problems with you.
There are red flags everywhere. Okay.
Yes.
Jesus. So he gets a letter from the king because this motherfucker didn't pay his taxes. And I don't care what times in England times you are, you gotta pay your taxes.
Well, not only that, like, what were you doing with the money? He's like, I can't, like, oh my God. He is a train wreck. He can't do shit. Like, Jamie is already taking care of everything on the estate. Literally everything. Yeah. She's helping with the sheeps. She's helping with the horses. She's sewing bitches up because apparently, which like,
she's a healer.
She's basically performing surgery. Like, she is a physician in 1100 England.
Yeah, and she knows about like getting dirt out of wounds and stuff. Like, she's good too.
And so like she's like doing all this shit. She runs this bitch literally to the point where Jameson is like, I cannot let her go because my entire life, including the estate, including the people I take care of on quote unquote take care of on my estate, it's all going to fall to shit. And it's like, yeah, whose fault is that?
Absolutely.
Baron.
Okay, so there's one scene where she's talking to the, like, the horse master, the
Beak.
stable boy, Beak.
I am obsessed with Beak.
I'm so angry.
If I was Jamie, my best friend where I live now is a 74-year-old woman.
Yes.
And I love her to pieces. We hang out regularly. She's my person. And I will say, me and Beak, he'd have been my bestie too. Beak would have been my bitch. Like,
absolutely. Beak is
we would be hitting the town.
He is the original ride or die, okay? That's Beak. And I was so mad that, spoiler alert, he doesn't go with her to the Highlands. I was like, why can't he leave with you? Why can't he go be a man who works at the new estate?
The conversation that they
I
almost cried.
I teared up. I was mowing my goddamn lawn and I teared up during this conversation. It's the sweetest, most pure thing. Sorry.
Okay.
So Beak is like, yeah, I'm so sorry. When Jamie does finally tell Beak about the stuff that we're going to tell you about in just a minute, so sorry, listener. Beak is like, the only reason he didn't pay his goddamn taxes is because it's the one thing Jamie doesn't do. That's why it didn't get done.
Fucking accurate.
Yeah. So, okay, so he has gotten a letter from his king, and his king is like, you done fucked up, and you're going to pay in ladies. That's what's going to happen. I'm sending Highlanders over to your house, and he gets to pick out of your daughters. Two Highlanders. That's a lot of Highlanders, Sabrina.
That is a 50% of daughters.
Yes, absolutely. He's not going to decimate your daughters.
Okay,
he's going to half-summate your daughters or whatever.
Listener, to be clear though,
tell them.
So Baron is in the letter. Yeah. Baron, the letter says daughters, but the Baron's like, the king, is it King William?
Henry,
sure.
Yeah.
King Henry says that only the daughters from my first wife.
Only my blooded daughters. Those ones.
But not his. We have to. By the way, I literally highlighted this,
but
not his quote. Long raven-colored hair, violet eyes that reminded her papa of springtime, and skin as flawless and pure as her heart. Daughter Jamie. Not her.
Not her.
He's leaving that out. So, like, these Highlanders are about to come swoop up, as far as he's concerned, 2 of his 3 daughters, 66% of his daughters.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, the baby who is not actually his baby.
Yeah.
That he's been grooming since birth to take care of everything.
I wonder about that. Yeah.
There's no way that it wasn't him grooming her to marry her at some point. Like, there were so many points where he was talking about, he was like, what am I going to do without her? And like everything that people were saying, they're like, you'll never let her go. But I guess that's not true though, because what about Andrew? Okay. Andrew.
Andrew he's a fuckface who lives close enough that, and he said that he would move to his house. He would pull an Emma from Emma. The Pride and Prejudice Emma is what I'm saying. What's the fuck is her name?
Jane Austen?
The author of
Is that Jane Austen?
Those books. That's the one. Yeah. He was going to pull a Jane Austen's Emma and move into the Baron's house so that he could keep his, anyway. So he tells the sisters, and the sisters are just
losing
like
their
erupting.
Shit. The twins,
into
there's 2 twins, Agnes and Annie, or Alice. Agnes and Alice are like sobbing hysterical because they are dramatic and like they've been pampered their whole life. They don't know anything else. I can't even be mad at them for it. But like they're sobbing. Mary, the other sister, is absolutely losing her ding dong mind.
That's absolutely.
She's also like, so Jamie is described as a mischief maker. She's mischievous and she does all of these things. And Mary is like her second in command. It's her little sidekick, and they get up to all sorts of shit. Even though Jamie, may I repeat, the youngest of everybody. And she is
youngest one.
Mistress. Literally, Jamie is the true mistress of their home. This child, how old is Jamie? Yeah. Does it ever say?
We never find out how old Jamie is. I think she's at least like 19. My guess was 19.
There's no way that she's over 20.
No.
Mistress.
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment, especially in the first chapters, where I was like, this bitch is 16 years old. Like, I was like, this is a child. Let alone a child. She might be a fetus. We are not sure. But I will say that in pre-medieval Highlander times, that's a full-grown adult.
I mean, we're just lucky she's not 13. So, like, it's fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, Julie Garwood wouldn't do that to us. So, okay, so the guy's like, they're coming in a week, ? I believe. And so then she goes to Beak and she's like, Beak, have you heard the news? My sisters are going to get handed off to some Highland savages, is what she says. And he's like, and she's like, those savages who wear dresses. And he's like, they're not dresses. I'm not going to have this anymore. But he's like, oh, because the Baron's plan, sorry everyone, is to hide Jamie like a Cinderella when the slipper comes around to show everybody. And Beak is like, I'm not having that. Like, I will take their measure, and if they're good Highland Scots, then I'll tell them about the pick of the litter.
Because Beak is also Scot. He's from the Low Highlands.
Yeah, the Lowlands.
And of note, he has taught Jamie a lot. So we're going to give a little bit more background on Jamie. So Jamie is a badass little bitch, frankly. She hunts. She hunts for their dinner every night on top of sewing everybody up instead of on top of healing them. She rides through the southern meadow standing on the back of her paint mare, just galloping through the grasses and the meadow, standing on the back of her horse.
Standing up.
Yes.
She rides exclusively bareback.
Beak taught her Gaelic. She speaks Gaelic.
Yep. Because Beak has always thought of her as his daughter too. But he actually knows how to treat a daughter, and it includes love, not child labor. You know what I mean? Oh man, can I tell you a story that I think is actually cute when you look at it through the lens of time, maybe? Listen, doesn't matter. I'm telling you this story. So my mom, she used to think that a really funny joke before I could read and write was to be like, oh, my daughter's so smart in front of people / strangers. And she would go, watch this. Mel, how do you spell child? And I would say SLAVE.
Oh,
so
my God.
Can you imagine a little toe-headed? I've got all the curls, little ringlets on my face.
Ooh, I am.
Anyway,
I wish y'all could see my face. I don't even know how I'd respond if somebody did that and a small child did that in front. So today for reference, I was at a crawfish boil at work and it was delightful. Well, people's families came and there are all these small children around, peeling crawfish, so cute, living their best lives, being like, oh, that's spicy. Well, the thought of one of those children coming up to me and this experience happening, I honestly don't know what I'd do. I'd be like, huh.
Also, I'm so sorry, everyone. Valor did give me a virus. And so everything's fine, except for the fact that I do sometimes sound exactly like Jenny Nordback. And other times I just sound like, I don't know, like a maniacal telephone operator. I don't know. It's fine. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. Back to this
book.
Okay. Back to this dysfunction and not my charming dysfunction.
My God. This, we have so much to go. We are literally on page 9. And they're I will say, just preparation. This book, 20% of the plot takes place in the first 50% of the book. And then 80% of the book takes place over the last half of the book. It's it seems like a normal romance. And you're just oh yeah, beat, live and let, and it's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and then you realize that the very first day goes from chapter 2 to chapter 9.
And then chapter 10 to 17 is one fucking day. Okay, so we're going to get into this. We will comment on this, but this book gave me whiplash because I am somebody who really pays attention to timelines. Timelines are really important to me when I'm reading. And so I make note of date. Anytime a date is mentioned, it's morning, it's afternoon, it's it's all of these things. Or this took 4 days or whatever. So at one point in this book, and I will comment on these, actually, instead of giving you all these spoilers, I'm just going to say I will comment on these timelines because lash. When I tell you,
Absolutely.
like, I would have hurt my neck if this was a human I was doing a double take at. Like, anyway. Because
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I think maybe the whole book maybe is like a week and a half or 2 weeks, or it might have been 3 months.
Like one
I don't
fucking
know.
week, Melody.
I know. That's what I think. But also how? You know what I mean?
They literally, I have it highlighted at one point because when I read this sentence, I was like, Julie fucking Garwood, what the actual fuck has happened in 6 hours?
I have to know. I'm sorry, listener. I'm breaking my own rules. Was it when she said she started 3 wars in the first week?
Not even.
Not even
that?
No.
It was
when...
Oh
my God, I cannot wait.
God, we will get there.
Okay.
So listen. So, Highlanders.
It's fine.
Jameson.
Yes, Highlanders. And Beak is like, I'm going to give her to a Highlander because I do think that he will treat her much better than this fuckface over here who like actually treats her like a servant and has made her believe that that's love. When the hero points that out.
Yes, being useful.
That hit me right where I live, Sabrina. I'll tell you that much.
It's fine. It'll be coming up in therapy.
Oh,
don't worry about it. I will handle myself.
I know. So these fuckers arrive 3 days early. They're not expecting them. And so she's mistress of the house. She thinks that, like, you know, she should handle all the business. And they arrive and she's out riding with Mary. They're getting up to mischief. So they arrive and Beak is like, hello. Oh, no. Hello. You're here early. Who's more powerful? He asks them. Oh, my God. These men are like 6'6".
The devil and the disciple, they are called.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Like, when they are described rolling up, like Beak was like the devil and the disciple. The devil is Alec Kincaid. Alec Kincaid is our hero. He is a big, hulking, just stud muffin.
He's a Highlander king.
Yes. And then Daniel, I can't think of his last name, but Daniel is the disciple. And he is also a big hottie.
Yeah.
Daniel had me swooning.
No, he's a stone cold hottie. He's a stud muffin. And like, Sabrina, when I tell you that I was like, surely the second book will be Mary and Daniel's book. Surely Julie Garwood would give that to me. It's like a whole other bitch. It's like I've never met her before. I don't know that we've met the hero in that book. I cannot confirm. It might be Colin.
Oh my God. Wait, does Mary and Daniel?
I think Mary and Daniel's story is here, period, the end. I could not. I scoured the internet. Listen, HBs, please let me know if you know better than me. If Julie Garwood wrote even a novella, if Julie Garwood wrote a scene of Mary and Daniel, I need it.
Dear Julie Garwood, this is a plea from Sabrina.
That's right.
I know that it's 24. Nope. That's not enough. 34 years old.
Yeah.
But I need a book.
I need it.
For Daniel and Mary.
Yeah.
This is a heartfelt plea.
Melody cosigns.
Don't listen to any more of this episode because I may say questionable things about your book.
No, but I want Mary to be redeemed. I want it.
Yeah, because she was an annoying little fuck.
Boy, yeah.
By the end of this book.
I mean, she had her moments of greatness, too.
I love Mary, but also, like, ma'am.
She didn't make it easy sometimes, you know?
No.
Yeah. So, okay. So Beak is like, which one of you two is more powerful? And Daniel's like, hi. I guess technically Alec is, but like, I'm also great. And I will be a laird someday, and I will have you step off.
Daniel's like offense. He's like, I am also impressive man.
Yeah.
I am also impressive Highlander.
I might be shorter than him, but it's only like an inch, okay? God,
which, like, to be fair, they're both gargantuan.
Yeah.
So, like...
Okay. So then he's like, why are you asking me that, how powerful we are? And he's like, okay, so you're more powerful, Alec. Good to know. Did you murder your wife? And Alec is like,
Do you hurt women?
I could squish you like a bug. Like, you need to watch yourself right now, sir, because it seems like you're doing an offense on me. He's like, I'm not. I'm building to something, I promise, Beak says.
And then there's a whole thing where, like, Beak has been sworn not to talk about Jamie, the youngest daughter. And so he's like, sir, may I tell you about the horses in this barn?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he says, I have a gift I can bestow upon you. And Alec is like, interesting. I love presents.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And so he says, I know this gift is the best of all the gifts, and it is tucked away, very hard to find, but like totes the best gift. There's none better. And Alec is like, okay, I'm intrigued. And he's like, how about I show you horses? Because this Baron does treat his daughters exactly like horses. And Alec is like, I think I might be following you. I'm not sure. Please go on.
I don't think Alec was following at all at first. Alec was like, what is this old man smoking?
Absolutely. Daniel certainly wasn't. But like Alec.
No, that sweet cinnamon Labrador boy. It's like, he's like, oh, horses.
Oh,
yeah, let's talk about.
So he's like, see all these horses here? This group of stalls over here? These are the regular ass horses that are dumb and terrible. But the Baron likes to keep his prize filly around a corner and through woods and way over here. Please come look at this beautiful horse. And they're like, that is a stunning piece of horse flesh, they say. And he's like, the daughters are exactly like horses. Like, Beak is trying so hard and he doesn't know if he's succeeding or not. And it's so cute. So he's like, my gift to you is exactly like this horse. So he's like, okay, I think I'm picking up what you're throwing down. And then he hears the girls.
Mary and Jamie come pattering into the stable and they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like Beak's
well,
like,
and
oh
Beak's
no,
like, get out,
get
out, Highlanders.
Get out of here. And he goes to like grab them. And this is when the girls are like, he's like, I hope that they're gone, because the girls are saying some shit about
going
the Scots.
off.
They're like, they're inferior. They wear dresses. They're stupid. They can't do shit. They like,
they're
all
brutes.
sorts of,
My favorite one, it comes back and it's fantastic.
Throw trees.
They throw
Capers.
trees at each other. I don't even know. I thought a caper was one of those tart little beans. I honestly don't even know what a caper is.
Goes good on salmon.
That's the one. But they throw trees at each other, apparently. And Jamie's been winding her up. And so Jamie's been telling her a bunch of bullshit that, like, she does not have verified. And so Mary's like, do they have preferences? And Beak is like, I really don't know if that's, like, appropriate to talk to you about. Please read it, Sabrina. I know you have it.
This is Mary's quote. Jamie told me the Scots take what they want when they want it. She also said they have special preferences. And what might those be? Beak asked. Strong horses, fat sheep, and soft women. Mary said, horses, sheep, and women? Yes, Beak. And in that order. Jamie says they'd rather sleep next to their horses than their women. Well, is it true? Do the women come last?
And Beak, like, just can't handle it. He's just like, come on, everybody. Like, please stop it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then Jamie finally, like, relents and she's like, I was just winding you up. Like, Mary, come on, let's go do blah-de-blee. Oh, the other thing Beak said to them is like, oh, my laird, do you like blue eyes? And he's like, a lot of bitches in the Highlands have blue eyes. He says lasses, okay, but I'm updating it for current times. And Beak is like, well, there's blue, and then there's blue. And they have no idea what that means, but apparently Alec has been lurking. And so he comes in and he's like, is that your gift? Is that what you were talking about? That one right there with those blue eyes that are blue?
And Beak's like, yes, will you be taking her, please?
Yeah,
please?
Will you take her away from this harsh land?
Swoon, because Alex stares Beak dead in the face and he's like, Beak, I'll be taking her with me.
I'll be taking her Yeah.
Ma'am.
Did I give you intellectual pants feelings?
What was the accent? Like that was... Ooh, okay. All right, give me a second.
I feel very accomplished right now. Yay.
I was so not, I literally have goosebumps. I was not expecting that. You're like, I'm not even gonna do it. I will ruin it. Wow. Okay, so, yeah, just throwing out, y'all, buy any book that Melanie narrates, because like... All right, moving on.
All right.
Whew.
So the Highlanders go into the Great Hall.
Again, 3 days early.
Yes. And Jamie is like supposed to be there, but then she has to like patch 2 people up and maybe birth a baby for somebody else. And then she finally goes to the Great Hall. And boy, she's got her pooch with her. All right. This big old, I know this was only a throwaway, but I'm sorry it was important to me, Melody. This giant, like, Great Dane of a dog is just like brum, brum, brum on the side of her, and it made me so happy.
Like,
Anyway,
she has a horse and she has a horse.
yeah, yes.
Like,
Yeah, and then she gets her another horse.
Mm.
Like a stallion kind.
Sure does. The filly gets a horse too.
Oh.
There's 2 happy ever afters.
That's
in
right.
this book.
That's right. Absolutely. So she goes in and she's like, is Highlander man's. And her sisters are lined up in a row, she says, like criminals. Sobbing their brains out. The twins are, Mary is tenuously keeping it together. Mary is walking a tightrope right now.
That is literally like, this is not any different from any other point in the book where Mary is involved. Mary lives on a tightrope.
Yes.
Like, she would have benefited from some form of anti-anxiety, probably.
Absolutely. Yeah. So she's like, I am mistress of the house, and so I do need to pull it the fuck together because my dad is just, he's just pouring gallons of wine into his mouth. My sisters are wailing on the side. My dog is growling at these men. And she's just like, hello, I'm here to welcome you to my humble home. And they're like, oh, that's nice of you. Like, and Daniel's doing a charm on her.
And Alex is doing like a full-on like lusty, I'm gonna stick it in that look. Like up and down. She's like, it suddenly dawned on her that Lord Alec, sorry, well, it says Lord Alec, but Laird Alec wasn't looking at her the way a true lord would look at a gentle lady of breeding.
Oh,
no,
of course not.
He was straight up like,
I'm gonna tap that.
I'm gonna stick it in that, and it's gonna be good.
I'm gonna dip my wick. I think you say in Highlander medieval times.
Yeah, they had wicks.
It's candle metaphors. You know what I mean? It's all candle metaphors at that time.
Yeah, God, just light it up.
That's what I learned from Shakespeare in Love. Anyway, so she's like, hello, I guess you're here to pick up my sister. I'm sorry we're like not ready, but you're 3 days early. And they're like, yep, we are. And we're still mountains and we're still going to take 2 of you. So, get ready.
We gonna be mountain.
Yeah. And so the dad like pours them wine and she keeps on trying to like give him back as good as she's getting. And so he gives her that lusty look.
The banter in this book, the sass in this book this is one of the sassiest back and forth books, and it never stops.
Never. I love it.
Until the very end.
Yeah.
Like it was constant. It was like they were constantly verbally whipping each other.
It was
like
electric.
They were like just boom, boom, boom. And they were all sharp.
Oh,
gaps.
yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. So he gives her this lusty look and she's like, all right, I'm scared to pieces, but I'm not going to show him that. And so she tries to like give him a lusty look. She's like, I'll show you an appraising look. And she tries to do it. And I'm sorry, Sabrina, he does raise one eyebrow in response to that.
Sexy.
And I was like, that shouldn't work so hard, but wow, it did. It did.
It's so crazy because actually their entire vibe together, the way that they interact with each other, I would find hard to swallow in a, like, the
In a
level at which
contemporary?
the level of vitriol that they have towards each other, I struggle
Yeah.
with in a contemporary. This 1989 1100
Oh.
Medieval Highlander book,
Oh.
it was like, no.
Oh, it was incredible.
I ate this shit with a spoon.
I mean, and I think two things factored into that, not like in addition to the 1989 1100ness of it all. One is that this is a head hopping book from paragraph to paragraph. It's all over the place. It's in everybody's heads. I was surprised we didn't get into the Great Dane's head on the way into the Great Hall.
It was hard to follow sometimes. Like, I mean, before I realized that was what was happening, because it doesn't start happening until now. Yep. Because we don't get into the sisters' heads, but like we've been in.
It was in Beak's head for a minute,
Jamie
but it rarely went anywhere else when it was in Beak's head. But then
this started, and it was like 2 paragraphs of Alec, 2 paragraphs of Jamie, 1 paragraph of Alec, half a paragraph of Jamie, 1 paragraph of Daniel.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, who am I listening to? Like, I've never had to jump back and reread a paragraph so many times in my life just to like figure out who's the he here.
Absolutely.
Who's the she here?
And like, did Sybil write this? Am I Sybil? Because you're just trying to get all the personalities together. So anyway, he fucking loves it. He's like, I can tell she's scared, but I love the fact that she's just like muscling it down and brazening it out, basically. And this whole time, he's been like, yeah, so we're going to choose our brides and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, you already chose your bride out of my sisters? And he's like, oh, I have chosen my bride. And she goes, well, I'm certain it was a very hard choice. And he's like, no, super easy choice. Easiest choice of my life. And she's like, how dare you, sir? My sisters are all hot and great. And like, you can't tell it now because they are snotting everywhere, but they are catches. And like, maybe you should go back to the Highlands for a month and then come back. And like, you know, after you've mulled this life-changing decision.
And he's like,
In his brain, he's like, I'm sorry, a woman has never been a life-changing anything to me in any universe. Like, he's always talking about how insignificant women and wives are to him.
Did I love it?
I know. I wanted to be insignificant to him, Sabrina.
I wanted to be your inferior English wife.
Oh. I want you to kiss every part of my inferior body.
Yeah.
Alec.
Oh. I have so many comments about that entire thing. But agree.
Oh shit, is this a 3-parter at this point? Fuck.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's me too. So anyway, he's like, she still hasn't gotten it yet. Like, it kerplunked in her brain that like, I didn't choose from the sisters. I'm taking her home. So Daniel's like, Mary, come on over here, girl. Drink out of my goblet.
Surely you've heard our list of wants, Mary.
This was incredible. He pulls out, because they heard all of it. And so he pulls out, I've got a strong horse, Mary. Oh, there are so many fat sheep up in my hills. But the one thing I have just been yearning for
is a soft, willing woman, lass. Like, I'm such a slut for the term lass.
Yep.
And he said that, and he's like petting her cheek with the back of his hand.
And she's mesmerized. Okay?
She is. Until she's like, I'm not soft. She like shakes herself out of it. She
says, I'm not willing.
Not
I am neither soft nor willing, she says.
And Daniel's like,
yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, he does that brrr that she just did. And then he says, go change your gown. I really like gold, especially on you. But like, if you don't have gold, put on white for me, will you? It'll really please me. I know you want to please me, Mary. Daniel!
And then, can I say,
please,
because we're about to get Alex, one of my most favorite things in a book is when, and this is very much an Arrested Development style thing, where they're like, And this is how things are happening. And then like it skips to the next chapter and it's like, it did not happen that way at all.
Reader, it did not happen that way.
And that happens so many times in this book, over and over and over.
I love it.
Because this is when we find out, because Jamie still hasn't caught on to what's going down.
No.
She hasn't picked it up. And then Alec is like, you're mine.
No, he says, Jamie, you also go change your dress. I like
white.
And she's like, and she does like a like it's a full
and she's like
record scratch.
She's like, it will be a frigid day in heaven before I marry you, my lord. A frigid day indeed. Exactly 1 hour later, Lady Jameson was wed to Alec Kincaid. And then in the same pair, we get a double whammy. Because he's like, I like white. And so it ends with her being like, exactly 1 hour later, blah, 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 blah. And then literally next page, she wore black to her wedding.
That's so good. And meanwhile, he loves it. He's licking it off the floor. He loves it so much. And like, it's hilarious to me because he tries throughout the whole book to be like, you will listen to me, lass. And like, you know, this is the way we do it in the Highlands, basically.
And she's like, the way you do it can get fucked.
Yeah, it can go kick rocks. And like, he tries to deny it, but that's one of the reasons he likes her so much is because she does push back on him. And it's a sexy.
God.
Sexy.
I love a fiery, feisty heroine, and I
know.
love a gruff outside, cinnamon roll inside.
Because I don't give a shit what Alec thinks.
No.
Alec is a cinnamon roll.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, how dare you offend me and insult me by saying that I'm compassionate and kind.
Yeah.
And like, how dare you?
I am going to hold this baby, though. And I am going to make sure you get all of your rest.
My God. We haven't even gotten to the whiplash of scene to scene developments in this plot yet.
Honestly. Okay. So she gets married, everybody. And then like during the marriage, Mary treats the will you take this man as a legitimate question, which I thought was very charming.
I did too. Because she's like, 'tis the truth, I'd rather not, Father.
I'd really rather not, though. And like she pauses to think about it, and the priest, like all of his sphincters are clenched. The priest does not know how to handle these Highlanders.
Because like, what if this big fucking gargantuan Highlander like whoops his butt?
Yeah, he can't take him. They're not gonna. Well, what did she call him? The condolences? No. The indulgences, or like whatever the punishments are in Catholic
the shillings,
times.
The indulgences, like for every lie, any sin, it's an indulgence. Yeah, and she pays a shilling to the priest.
Yes, yeah, but before that, like, is it a litany? I don't know. There are like punishments that he'll dole out, including but not limiting to making one of the girls cut her hair because she fell asleep during one of his boring ass sermons. And so he's like, I can't give one of these guys the soliloquy I normally give the girls because like they'll just stomp me into the ground like the ant I am. Like he knows his place.
Also, like Highlanders apparently don't deal in shillings. They don't have like, they're not going to give you penance. They don't give a fuck about you.
Oh God, thank you.
Father, they don't give a shit.
No.
I dare you to tell them to pay you a shilling. I dare you to tell them they have to cut their hair.
Yeah.
Because there will be no more father.
No.
You're going to have to like hit up the bishop and be like, we need a new priest in town.
Yeah.
Because ours is deaded.
Yeah. And like the father knows it. So finally Mary's like, okay, fine, I guess. Like I thought, I guess it's not a request or, whatever. And then she tries to pull roughly the same thing at some point, but he keeps on grabbing the nape of her neck. And like it reads, I'm sorry everyone, it reads as though he's like gonna strangle her or whatever, but like I'm sorry, it was a sex touch.
I'm fascinated. I
That
did
was a
not read
sex
it.
touch.
I guess I'm just a horny asshole because I was like, yes, strangulate my nape.
No, because yeah, he grabs the nape of her neck and like there's nothing more primal than like
Grab me
that.
by my scruff, Alec Kincaid.
Honestly.
I want to be scruffed.
Scruff me. Yes. Yes.
Oh, he will. He will.
Oh my God.
So-
And so she's like, yeah, I guess I will because this is hot but scary too. like everybody knows
it's
the
okay.
evolutionary, reason that you scruff someone.
Not everybody is a scared, horny person, but you know what, Jamie? You're in good company.
That's
It's
right.
fine.
Yeah. We see you, girl. So then as they're leaving, like the dad is just like waterworks everywhere. And that's meant to be like he's a weakling or whatever. And like, that's not the reason he sucks. Okay. The reason he sucks is that he is turning one of the most traumatic days in his daughter's lives about him. And like, that
Who's
sucks.
gonna cook my dinner every night?
That's what he
Who's
says.
gonna hunt my food? Who's gonna bring me wine and make the fire?
Yeah.
I'm just and Alec he does not get, he's like, I had no feelings about Baron Jameson. And then he started sobbing. And not only is he sobbing, which I have problems with, which toxic masculinity, but
yes,
he is sobbing because he has essentially enslaved his youngest daughter and is using the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And treating her poorly and terribly. And guess
that
what?
was his issue. When Baron Jameson was like, no, you can't have the tiny one. She does all of this and she shines my boots and blah, blah, blah. And Alex, like, had he said, like, I love her and I want to keep her around and, like, she's my favorite special one, that would have made a little bit more sense. It wouldn't have worked, but I could respect that. But this bullshit, absolutely not. So, but one of my favorite lines in this book is that he's sobbing. And she can tell that Alec is like being a little bit surly about it. And she looks over and like as if to explain his behavior. And she's like, he loves us so much. We're all very close to our father. And Alec thinks to himself, oh, wow, her loyalty really shows like her character. And the fact that she's loyal to this family basically makes her a saint. So
like,
it's great.
So this is something that comes up later, but I'm going to comment on it now because it's not something that's plot specific.
Yeah.
So at one point later in the book, obviously this is not a spoiler, she ends up moving to Scotland, blah, blah, blah. She goes with him. But she has all of her stuff delivered. And one of those things is a rocking chair.
Yeah.
And at one point, there used to be a fourth sister. I don't remember her name, but she died when Jamie was like 7. But when this rocking chair that is so important to her because she has so many fond memories of her
and it was
father
her mom's
rocking and it was her mom's. Yep. The fond memories are of Baron Fuckhead.
Yeah.
Rocking with 2 daughters on each leg, but guess what? Jamie's not one of those daughters.
She's the 5th
She
one.
was standing to the side, waiting to take orders. And when I read that,
and
I had to put the book down when I read that.
Oh.
I was like, I'm going to travel to fictional 1103 Scotland.
I'm gonna box someone's ears.
And I'm going to throw Baron Jameson off the cliff.
I'll throw a tree at him.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Burn that bitch.
No, it's incredible. And Jamie, and Alec is like, she doesn't even see that is fucked. Like, he's like, well, he keeps on being like, where did you sit? And she keeps on being like, well, it's not important. He's like, no, I feel like it is. And then he finds out that she was just standing there behind them.
There's so as many problematic aspects as there are in this book. This was such a good look at a character because the character, not so much like character arcs because they're pretty much, there was not a huge amount of character growth, but there
No.
is a lot of character development in the sense that these are fully fleshed out people.
Yeah.
These are fully fleshed out characters. And like Jamie is such a good example of somebody who has just, because she has always been in said situation and she has never seen anything different.
The fishbowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is just how life is. This isn't so bad.
Yeah.
And
we'll
like,
talk about
even-
that when they get highwaymanned. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So,
so-
anyway,
So
married.
They're over. It's
So-
over now.
Yeah,
And she's
so
gonna
marriage has
leave.
happened, and she thinks though, because based on something that Alec has said, she thinks that it's going to be a marriage of convenience, and Alec's going to fuck off back to Scotland, and she
Yeah.
and her sister's gonna, and she's like, oh, how silly I was.
Oh
This is
my
just
gosh.
this is a marriage in name only.
I
And
was
she's
worried
like,
for
"Oh,
nothing."
are you staying for dinner? And he's like, no, I'm not. And she was like, oh, okay, well, we'll get your we'll blah blah blah. And he's
Bye.
like, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
and
he's like, go get your stuff.
what? And she's like, we're leaving within the hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I will not sleep. This is important. I will not
Yes.
sleep another night on English soil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your
They
shit.
gotta get to Scotland. So Mary and Daniel like get on horses and they leave earlier, and like the other two are gonna catch up with them. And Alec like sees Beak get her on her horse and everything. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna fuck off then. And he just like starts clopping away.
He goes. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to Scotland.
Yeah.
Catch up.
Truly. And she's like, he didn't even wait for me. Like, oh my God. And so then she gets to have a really nice long conversation with Beak because he tells her, like,
Her-
you know, part of
The
the
real
reason
father of her heart.
I'm honestly. He says, like, I told him that you like sewing in church and that you don't know how to do anything else. And she's like, Beak, why would you say anything like that
And
about
then
me?
Beak's like, I also told him that you're a virgin and you've never
my
done
God.
squat.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. That you're truly like Jamie Fraser and you think you can only do it from behind like horses. Like that's where this Jamie's at too. Okay? But no, Beak says that he told him about sewing in church and like all the gentle womanly things because he wants her to have a leg up on Alec and like get his measure before, and like, you know, he won't expect a lot from her, and so she can divulge whatever she wants when she wants to.
Man,
he
Beak owes the priest like 17 penances for all of
love
the
it.
lies that he told Alec.
I love it. I love it. And like my favorite part about Beak is that he is not sorry. Oh, it's the best.
Not at all.
Sorry.
Well, and like,
and then he tells her, "Oh, wait.
it's
Oh,
best
and
not to grab a wild dog by his tail unless you want the consequences, I always say." And she's like, you've never said that before. And
Never
he's
said
like,
that.
always meant to. And I was like, I love you, Beak. I love everything
I'm so
about
sad that he didn't go with them because we'll get to it. But so then he says, he also does not, he tells her, I did not tell Alec that you can speak Gaelic. And she's like, good. I'm not going to tell him either. That was my plan. Excellent. So then he's like, okay, you got to go. Like, you stop fucking with him. You have to go. And she's like, Beak, I have to say something and I will not be rushed.
My heart.
I will not be rushed was one of the sweetest things I've ever heard in my life. Because the next words out of her mouth were, I love you. I've never told you this, but I love you with all of my heart. And you were the best father to me. And then he says, like, it's so sweet. And he says, I've always loved you just like you're my own.
And she says, promise me you won't forget me.
Oh my God. Oh. And then as she's clopping away too, it goes into Beak's head in the meanest way, Julie Garwood, you mean lady. And it says, Beak knew that he would never see his baby again.
God.
It's so mean. It's so sweet. It's so mean.
I was like, oh my God, we're not even 20% into this book. And I've already like been deaded and resurrected multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
And then she catches up to Alec, and Alec is like, he's been going kind of slow.
Yeah.
And then she catches up, and he's like, time to hit hyperspeed. Like, he just fucking books it. And all I'm thinking is like, dude, Alec, you're on a big old stallion. She's on a tiny little filly. What the fuck? She's not gonna be able to keep up. And he's just like, dun 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 dun.
He's
And
the
she's
Lone
like,
Ranger right now. He does not give a fuck.
yeah, he does not give a fuck. And then we're gonna all the way on because we can kind of jump through this because essentially what happens is they catch up to
Mary and
Daniel and Mary. I almost said Mariel. But Daniel and Mary, they catch up to them and then they're running. And then Mary falls off her horse.
She does. 3 hours later, Mary can't handle it anymore, and she does unceremoniously just fall off her horse.
Fair. Mary has probably never ridden a hard ride for more than like 5 minutes in her life. And then on top of that, even Jamie is sore because Jamie's used to riding bareback. So now she's in this brand new fucking fancy ass saddle. I don't know if y'all have ever listener, I don't know if you've ever ridden a horse before, but like a new saddle fucks you up.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely not. Even like, especially if you're used to riding because there's a huge difference between riding bareback and riding in a saddle. I also like have to wonder, I meant to Google this, but like, what does an 11? So like, I grew up riding English.
Okay. I grew up riding Western.
Fuck does an 1100s medieval saddle look like?
Wow, great question. I can't believe I didn't think about this, but wow.
I rode in very, very well, nicely crafted for the human form saddle. I had metal fittings to keep my saddle on. Yeah. I had the fanciest saddles that you could fancy your booty on the back of a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, all that shit, none of that shit. They didn't like, did they even have like, would they have had metal fittings? Did they like? Yes,
because they had swords, right?
Yeah,
like they had to have stuff like that.
Buckles, fancy buckles. Like I had like the modern times buckles are fancy buckles.
They are.
That it takes like, what does a saddle look like?
Absolutely. No, this is a great question. I can't believe I didn't think about it. But I will say that I was going to say it should be something like a bareback.
I'm just imagining a bareback pad.
That's exactly what I was
made
thinking.
Out of leather.
But it can't be. Maybe, yeah. Made out of like really, really fucked up leather.
Like maybe some sort of form, like ass form for your butt to hold you in place. Are there stirrups? Is there a pommel? Like,
yeah.
I have a lot of questions and no answers.
I know. I didn't even think about it.
Anyway, so
moving on. I think they did have some of those like walls up in the front.
That's what I'm thinking is like, shit, that's uncomfortable as shit. It's probably you got a piece of flat wood in front of you.
Yeah.
You got a piece of flat wood in back of you, and you're just like, good, but it's like full on like pelvic bone. Meat, hard place. Boom, boom. Yeah. I would have fucking dumped the saddle. I'd have been like, you know what, buddy?
Absolutely.
Get rid of the shit. I'm out. Like,
let's find a pack mule because the pack mule needs to carry this saddle. But
yeah, so anyway, Mary falls off.
Thinks like, I don't want him to think I'm unladylike. Meanwhile, he would think that's the sexiest shit in the whole wide world. What is her problem? Honestly.
What is Oh, riding bareback?
Well, and just like
riding a horse, horsemanship, period.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Alec,
being unladylike. He would love it. Mm-hmm. So Mary falls the fuck off. And
into a bush.
Into a bush. God, poor Mary. You know what I mean? It's a hard day. And so she's sobbing. And she's like, and then, oh God, quintessential her sisters. She doesn't say, I want to stop. She says, Jamie, please ask them if we can stop. Because she cannot use her own voice. Her little sister has to do it for her. And so Jamie
the megaphone. It's fine.
Yeah. So Jamie basically gets them to like pause for a minute because Mary did just like hit her tailbone on the ground. And during this, they start like bantering back and forth about, I don't know, it's probably about obedience, or it might be about Scottish versus English. Like, listen, there are some themes that they go back and forth on.
Because he calls her English, so he refuses to call her Jamie because that's a man's name. But like, so he calls her like English. He calls her
Lass. I mean,
Lass,
wife.
Like, he just refuses wife. That's it. He calls her wife constantly. Like, so they start bantering, and he's like, "Are you accustomed to riding such long distances?" And then Jamie, Fishbowl Jamie, is like, "It doesn't matter. If I'm used to it, Mary's not.
Mary's in pain."
Like,
yeah.
Jamie.
I mean, and he notices it from the start. Yeah. But then there's like a rustle, okay? And all of a sudden, Alec is on her. And she's like, "This is weird. I wonder what's happening." And then he puts his hand on I don't know, a weapon? No, he doesn't have a weapon. He doesn't. He
Wait.
He hand signals to Daniel. That's what he does. What's up? Tell me everything.
I was going to say, as I was scrolling through my highlights.
Yeah.
So we just did make the comment because we're about to talk about Alec, the weaponless sexy pants man.
Yeah, totally.
So I mentioned that he refuses to call her Jamie.
Yes.
Refuses to call her by her name. And she's like, "Will you stop?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "But it's my name." And he's like, "We'll find you another." And she was like, "We will not."
Will not.
And like, there's so many like tie-ins that throughout the book this comes up over, like all of the things that we keep commenting about and laughing and like being like, "Oh my God, this is like," they come up constantly throughout the rest of the book. Like, this is referenced over and over and over. And like
it grows and morphs and mutates with their development.
It does.
Julie Garwood,
delightful.
fucking master.
Yeah, like, does she just like, she's like, "This is something, like, I'm going to put a pin in this and we are going to take it from tiny town to metropolis."
Yeah, really. I truly, I think that's what happens in her beautiful brain.
Yep.
So he does a hand signal to Daniel, and Daniel's like, "Oh, I got you." And he puts his hand on his dirk or whatever. And Mary's like, "What's happening?"
and Mary.
And Jamie puts her hand over her mouth and she's like, "Shut the fuck up." Because they're hand signaling like, "Oh, there's 3, no, there's 4 or whatever." And then he
on your
puts
6.
Yeah, truly. He's like, and he puts her against a boulder, and then Daniel puts Mary there, and then he stands in front of them or whatever. And
He's
then
like, I have a pokey thing.
Yeah.
I will mutilate.
Yeah. And then 4 guys come out of the woods. They're creeping up with their like clubs and bloody swords.
I did have a question about that. Is that how banditing happens?
I mean, I think there is quite a bit of lying in wait.
But like, man stands in clearing and 4 of them are like,
I know. It was a little bit twirly mustache
it was
of
so
them.
twirly mustache. But yeah, so like Captain McSexy Pants, no weapon, and of course, Jamie has a knife on her because she knows knife skills. She can throw daggers,
a knife lady.
Listener.
Yeah.
And so like she's like, I should at least get him
She's
my
like,
knife.
"Daniel,
Somebody go
he's not armed." And Daniel's like, "Oh no, there's only 4 of them. It'll be over in just a moment." And she's like, "Daniel, you either go give him your sword or I am going to go out there and help him." And he's like, "I mean, I guess if you insist or whatever." And so he just like stands closer and then just crosses his arms over his chest and is like, "You got this."
And Jamie's just like, "We're wed to half-wits."
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
We're wed to absolute morons.
Yeah.
And Alec gives him like this smile, this like camaraderie. I don't think that's a word, smile. And then he does a battle cry, everybody. He does a big ol' Highlander battle cry.
Big roar. Big roar.
OMG.
And then there's some kicky and some punchy and some head bashy. And like, within less than a minute, all 4 bandits are in a mound of a floop on the floor. They're all just skadooshed.
That's right. That's exactly what they are. But then somebody comes out of the woodwork toward the ladies now. And fucking Mary.
Fucking Mary.
She squeals, "Hide me, protect me." And then she gets behind her little sister and hunches down behind her shoulders and uses her as an actual human shield.
Yep. And
Jamie
this is
is
totally
there for
expected.
it.
Jamie's like, yeah, I'll protect the fuck out of you. And then she throws her little pokey dagger right into Dude Bro's neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dead.
But then there's another one, and he gets to them faster than Daniel and Alec can get to them. And so he's got Jamie by the neck, and he's got a knife to her neck, and he's like, don't you dare get any closer, you. I've got your pretty, and I'll fuck her up. Or whatever.
And then
this is the best. Alec's like, cool, man. Go ahead. Take her. Doesn't matter to me. And he's like, go get her horse. I want her horse. And he's like,
and
no,
Alec's
no.
like, no.
You can have the lady. You may not have her horse.
And then, of course, inside of her internal monologue, she's like, oh my God, I was right. They do give more of a shit about their horses and their sheep than their women.
She's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe that this is happening to me. But, it's just a ruse. And so Alec comes in. He does a bing, bang, punch in the face. And he does murder that guy right up with her dirk, with her little dagger boy. Then she's like, oh my God. Like, she's really rattled because she's never seen a murder happen, everyone. Okay? And
she's never done a murder.
Yeah. And like that actually, she hasn't actually processed that part of it yet. And that's rough too. So he's coming toward her being like, hey, you okay? And she's like, get that dagger away from me. And he's like, oh, my poor, sweet, soft English little wife doesn't like the sight of blood. Oh. And so he throws it away and then but she's still really rattled. And he's like, I don't understand. And she's like, you just killed him with no effort whatsoever. And he's like preening and he's like, I'm really glad you noticed. And she's like, no, that's not a good thing. And then she's like, you murdered him. And he's like, yeah, you did too. What do you think happened to that guy you did dirk in the neck? And she's like, I don't know. But it was an accident though.
I didn't mean to do it. It's like, you definitely did. That was a direct sight, direct shot.
Yeah.
That was a jugular, man. We don't know what this is. We barely even know the four humors, but you
totally
did do an arterial damage.
Absolutely. It was splooshing everywhere. So then he's like, you better stop walking or you are going to just fall into a pile of unconscious / dead men. And she's like, ugh. And so her knees fall out from under her and he does catch her. And then she snuggles into his neck and she's like, did you mean it, Alec? And he's like, did I mean what? She's like, what you said about keeping Wildfire, but letting me go. And he's like, no, I didn't mean it. And she's like, but you said it and you sounded so convincing. And he's like, I wanted them to feel like they were in control. And she's like, they were. He was the one with the knife. And he's like, no, man, no. I had it unlocked the whole time. You're good.
He was not in control.
No. And this arrogant hot stuff. He goes, oh, okay. So the four guys who had the swords and the clubs, they were in control.
Clearly they were. You see that heap of human?
Yeah.
They're in control.
And she's like, oh, well, I guess not. It's so cute. So then they get back on a horse, right? And they go to Scotland. They make them ride more.
And yeah, because he and Daniel are like, we're not fucking spending another fucking night on English soil.
No.
We
and one
ride.
one of the reasons is because of safety.
Bandits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
boy.
because they definitely make it all the way to English soil because guess what happens that first fucking night?
Mm-hmm. Tell me everything, Sabrina, please.
It is
on TM?
Yeah.
Is that
all in one? That's how that grammar works. This is all in one fucking day. So they're riding do. There's some bandit murdering and blah 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're gonna fucking skedoodle on and fast forward to they have stopped. They have hit the Scotland border. They're just over the Scotland border and they're like, okay, time to stop. And then she's
Mary is sitting there being like, I can't move. I'm just gonna let my sister cook for me. Please,
oh, God,
Jamie.
Mary.
Just do all the cooking and all the everything, please. And Jamie's like, yep, that's exactly my place. That's my duty. I'm absolutely going to do that. And so she does that. And then Daniel comes over and sits by them. And and Mary says, because Daniel goes at when they're back in Bandit Town, Daniel grabs Mary and very aggressively takes her to another place because he is horrified. Mary is talking to
Pissed.
Jamie. Yeah. And she's like, I don't understand, Daniel. Like, he kissed me, Jamie. And Jamie's like, yeah, after like that danger time, Alec also kissed me, and like it was not bad. Like, you know.
It was not bad. But then Mary's like, but his tongue.
Yeah.
And fucking Jamie's like, his tongue?
What? Yeah.
I did not get a tongue kiss.
My favorite part is that she will not show weakness even in front of her sister. And so her sister's like, did he kiss you like a man who wants to bed a woman? And Jamie's like, please clarify. And she's like, the tongueness of it all. And then Jamie goes, instead of saying, no, I have not gotten a tongue yet, she goes, oh, you didn't like it? Like,
she's like, interesting.
And Mary's just like, no, it was gross. And then she was like, and he was so mad at me because he said that I should have been protecting you. And Jamie's like, what?
Yeah, because
Why
Jamie,
would he
there's
think
no,
that?
like, there's nothing in her inner monologue that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Mary feels that way.
No.
Jamie is fully on board. Jamie's like, what the fuck is wrong with Daniel? Of course I would protect you. Which, to be fair, in this instance, with the background information we have on them, accurate. Why the fuck would Mary protect Jamie?
Absolutely.
Mary can't do squat.
But
like
Jamie
got
doesn't
some
realize.
like knifey knife. But
Yeah.
like that's the problem.
That's part of the problem, right? The problem is that like this is all conditioning, and Jamie has been conditioned to believe that it's not my skills necessarily that make it so I need to be the one protecting my sister. It's more that I am the youngest one. I have to protect my other sisters, and so therefore I need those skills because that is the duty that my dad gave to me. Because like secretly she's the dispensable? That's not a thing. Dispensable. There we go. She's the dispensable sister because she's not his sperms. God, I hate him.
He's awful.
So they're both baffled by this. And then Alec's like, hey girl, come on over here and, you know, maybe bring me some of that food or whatever. And she's like, yeah,
nums. And
I'll go bring my husband some foods.
By the way, she's already made the decision. She's like, well, so at some point, Alec is going to have to bed me as his wife, but maybe, perhaps tomorrow we shall kiss again. And then in a couple of days we'll kiss again. And maybe in a week or two, when I'm most comfortable with him and prepared, I will let him bed me. Meanwhile, Alec's inner monologue is like,
I'm taking her tonight.
Going downtown.
Yeah.
To Pound Town.
Oh, yeah. He's on the Pound Town train.
Like,
but except it's a bagpipe.
Well, oh my God. Oh God. Yeah.
It's a bagpipe Pound Town.
And so she goes over, she's giving him food and like they're snacking and he won't let her up. He like tugs her down.
Yeah, he's got his arm around her.
He's got her like up against him. He's like sniffling in her and like.
Yeah. And he says, are you back to being afraid of me? And she's like, no. Because.
I'm frightened.
Oh, did she already tell him that she was worried?
I'm worried.
She might have said.
This is it.
This is when she does it?
I'm not frightened. I'm worried.
Okay. Well, first she tells him, no, I'm not afraid of you. It's just that touching like this in front of other people is indecent. And he's like, oh, really? Okay. Like,
man,
not
you want
where
to
I
talk
come
about
from.
indecent? Wait until you see our bed chambers that don't exist.
Wait for it. So then she's like, I was worried earlier because when I saw you really just like fucking those guys up all to hell, I thought to myself, oh, I shouldn't cross him because, you know, he'll, if those guys can't take him, I certainly can't take him. And he's like, why in the world? I mean, yes. And he's like, why in the world do you think that though? And she's like, well, it's a known fact that all Scottish men beat their wives. And he's like, I've actually heard that about the English. And then she goes, well, some do, some don't. And he's like, I don't. Like, for the record, this guy, two thumbs, this guy, I don't.
And like, this like melted my heart so much from the very beginning, from the get-go. Jamie heard the rumor that Alec actually murdered his wife.
Yeah.
And she has never believed it once. From the minute she met him, she was like, this gargantuan, inferior Scot.
Yeah.
There's no way that he killed her.
No. And after this conversation, because they go back and forth about adorableness, and this is also when she says, I have a favor to ask you. Will you please wait until I know you better? Until you do, take me to bed. Because, I want to be comfortable or whatever. And he's like, he thinks to himself, like, well, that's not going to happen. But I also don't want her like cowering in fear and like dreading it. And so he decides to quote unquote use some diplomacy. And he says, when you wear my plaid, that's when I will bed you. And she's like, wow, he's such a gentleman's.
Meanwhile, like Alec is like, loophole.
I'm a fake. I'm actually a fake. I'm actually a fake. Yeah. So then as she's walking away from him, because she's like, I'm going to go take a bath or whatever in the pond. And she thinks to herself like, wow, I can't believe anybody would think that he killed his first wife. Not only did he not kill his first wife, but like she realizes that she trusts him implicitly. Like she completely and utterly, with her life, with her body, with her future, trusts him. And I don't know, like that moment really struck me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he's like, hey, it's cold, English. And she goes, I don't need that kind of warning, sir. Okay, because we English are made of sterner stuff, all right? And he's like, cool,
and
man.
then a scant second later, he hears her shrieking.
He's just bellowing from the pond.
He hears her splash. And like, bitch, it's cold. It's like the beginning of winter.
She didn't even test it out. Jesus. She jumped into shoulder deep water on purpose without testing it out. So she does like a rose soap bath or whatever. But then as she's about to, and he thinks to himself back at the camp, he's like, in about 3, 2, 1, she's gonna need me. And boy, does she get a cramp. And apparently she has to go underwater to deal with the cramp.
Well, I don't
foot.
think it was in her foot. And so I think that she like leaned down to get
But like your feet come up. Your feet can come up though, where the air is, Sabrina.
I'm trying to give Jamie.
Wow, Jamie.
This is okay. This is romantic.
Yes. No, it's romance reasons.
This is how we're going to explain it.
It's romance reasons.
Romance reasons. You cannot lift up your foot in a romance novel when you're in a freezing cold lake and you have a cramp because you must go underwater. So
you must almost drown.
Scott comes and collects you.
Yeah, and then
not your naked body. No. You're still wearing your chemise.
Dumbass. God. And he's like, why do you always bathe with your clothes on? And she's like, no, I was being modest. And he's like, oh my God.
He's
but
like
this, they do a big snuggle right now. And she's like snurfling all up in his neck, trying to steal his warmth.
He's got her all snuggled up. He wraps her in his plaid.
Just real casual like. He just wraps her up.
Keeping her warm and snuffly.
Is all.
And then she's just drifting off to sleep.
No. Then she has to get dressed. She does get dressed. She gets into warm clothes. That's important.
You're right.
Because he's not an irresponsible Scott. And then, but he just goes back to camp because he knows she's going to ask for privacy. And she's like, wow, what a great guy. But I'm so excited for the warm, comfy fire he will have built by now.
Oh, yeah.
But when she gets back to camp, he's pretending to sleep.
And there's no fire.
No fire.
Like, she's shivering because her hair's all cold. And she's like, oh, and then she's like
about to cry. It's been a long day.
I mean,
she's been set on by highwaymen.
Valid.
Like,
but she's been riding in an 1100 saddle for like 10 hours.
Also
like,
that.
I would also be crying.
Yes. And so she comes over and she's like, Alec. And so he opens his eyes and then he just like opens his arm with his plaid. And she just like, he says, I'm not even going to give her any shit because I can see tears in her eyes. And she's like just at her breaking point. And she just launches herself into his lap.
She tucks her little feet under his thigh and like he like snuggles her up and like
he he does a big, warm bear snuggle on her.
So lovely.
And then just as she warms up, he does say, Jamie, I don't know if you noticed last, but you're wearing my plaid. She's like, what?
Fuck.
Wait, what? And he's like, yeah, you're ensconced, if you will, in my plaid. And then, but then they talk, he lays down and she lays on top of him and she's like, oh, he jests so funnily. Mm-hmm. He's got such a sense of humor.
What a funny man.
And so she's laying tummy to tummy on him with her chin on his chest, just looking at his face. And he just will not stop staring at her mouth. And then, listen, this dude is patient and hot, all right? Because he's just making conversation with her, just real casual, just doing a bit of a thigh rub, okay?
Yeah, and touching up on her butt a little bit.
Maybe he goes up under her chemise when she, doesn't say anything about it. And she says to herself, I'm just going to pretend like I don't know it's there, like it's not happening because it does feel so good. But a lady wouldn't allow it.
And then she brings up to Alex, she's like, Daniel uses his tongue when he kisses. And Alex how
do
you know that? And she's like, oh, Mary told me. I was like, Alec was so prepared to chuck her to the side and go stab Daniel.
Daniel's life must have flashed before his eyes from across camp.
He didn't even know something was happening, but he felt a shiver. He was oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah. He felt the Grim Reaper come a knocking at that point.
Oh yeah.
But he's like, okay, cool. And she's like, am I a good kisser? And he's like, no.
No,
babe. No.
Oh, no.
And then she's like, what? And she's like, well, then it's your fault because you're the only man I've ever kissed. And he's like, yeah, I didn't say it was a problem,
We'll practice.
And then she says, he calls her baby for some reason. I can't remember why.
That threw me out, though. I was like, is that a term?
And she says, ooh, don't do that. Don't call me baby. You don't even say it like Papa does. And he's like, cackles. And he's like, I hope not.
Yeah.
Good fuck.
No,
no way. So then she's like, Alec.
Not that kind of book, friends.
No.
Not that kind of book, my friends.
No. She's like, Alec, I would like to know what it feels like. And he's like, well, what feels like, Jamie? She's like, what it feels like to kiss like a man wants to bed a woman. And so he shows her, listener, okay?
There was.
Wow. He shows her and she's into it. And she's a quick study. And she starts doing a tongue spar on him just as good as he's given.
They got some mouth fucking
Yeah, there was a lot of mouth tongue
imagery.
fucking.
Yeah, the way that it was described. I was like, how very IPB of us.
Just honestly, yes. So listen, if this is TMI, you're just tell me to shut the fuck up. All right, Sabrina.
No, I will not say that. Listener, if this is TMI for you, just hit fast forward a couple times.
For 30
10
seconds.
Increment. Yeah, go for it.
Sabrina, have you ever had someone actually use their tongue to fuck your mouth? And if so, was it hot?
So, depends on the experience. I've had situations where I was like, this is the hottest thing that's ever happened to me. And there are also situations where I was like,
get me
doing
30
a
feet away?
I need you to stop licking my uvula. This is not fun. But if you're into it, you're into it. You're like, I don't need to breathe.
Interesting.
It's fine.
Interesting.
Have you not?
Okay. I have a Swiss cheese memory, but I cannot remember a time that a person actually simulated thrusting into my throat with their tongue. I cannot remember.
So if they dove right into it, not cool.
Yeah.
But in the middle, where it if you're already in that hot and heavy makeout,
sure.
You know the kind I'm talking, where you're frotting and
listen,
humping.
Tongue sucking is a totally different thing.
Well, so tongue sucking.
Tell me everything.
You suck their tongue, and then that leads into them fucking your mouth with their tongue. Yep.
That's what they do. Interesting. All right. I mean, I'm open
It is one
to
of those
it.
things where there's no in between though. There's either this is really, really great or this
Absolutely.
is really, really bad.
Or like get me 3 states away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a litmus test, honestly. Do you think this person's hot? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah. If you have enough chemistry that a tongue fuck is hot, then
Oh, it's wildfire. Yeah.
boy, it's on
Absolutely. Yeah.
TM. Like,
Okay. All right, listener. We're now done with the private part of the conversation.
back.
Hello. This is
So he's
less
like-
friendship time.
He's just, doing his
So
tongue
he's doing a
thing.
big makeout on her, and then like just
Big.
she's into it, and she's doing he keeps on saying sexy whimper. I don't know why that sounded modern to me, but it did. Every time he said something about her was sexy, I was
Just
like, is that a thing?
A
that they
lot of
say?
the sex was, I did have moments, every single sex scene, I was like, this feels a little modern.
I mean, I was into it.
I
Yeah.
loved it. But
Yeah.
like, I was like, this is reminiscent of something that I've read,
Totally.
recently.
Totally. I mean, yeah. So, okay, listen. I think I'm going to come out with a very I think I'm going to have a hot take right now. Are you ready? Ooh, I'm worried about it. Here we go.
I'm very curious because I have a lot of opinions about the next couple of scenes. So I'm here.
I did not have an issue with this consent.
So,
I
okay,
did
so
not
I-
have an issue with it.
I think that the reason I did not either.
Okay.
I did not either. But I think it's because we were in her head. So like there's like definitely a little bit of, so I think in a book, a contemporary with a scene
Yeah.
like this, there would have been a conversation beforehand that happens where they're like, I am okay with a little bit of borderline CNC. But also
Right.
like it's that whole what's the book? Is it Her Soul to Take? Which is the one with the demon
Yeah, oh yeah.
that comes in her sleep? Where
Yeah.
she's out loud saying like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this.
Sing
but
Me to
everything
Sleep
about her body,
by
Sing
R.M.
Me to
Virtues.
Sleep. Yes. So she is like saying, I don't want it, but everything about her body. And in that book specifically, reading the mind can
Yep.
hear like, can whatever. So like the consent is there, but like,
I didn't have
I
a
didn't
problem
have
with
a
it.
problem with this. Cause like he's like, now are we going to stop?
No.
She
So
asked
wait.
him-
So wait. So sorry. They're making out, and then he's like, "Floop, floop. I've got a chemise down to a waist now," and she's like, "Oh, that's
Look at those nipples.
that's a fun development, kinda." And then she's like, "Okay, Alec, I think I've experienced it now. Like, shouldn't we stop?" And I think a lot of it was her phrasing for me. It was all like societal judgment phrasing. Shouldn't we
Mhm.
stop? Like, it was never, I want to. There was a couple of times when she said, I want to stop.
I will say, I think in a different book,
Yeah.
the scene would be read very differently.
Interesting.
I think explicitly because of the way that Julie Garwood has set up this scene, where it
Yeah.
is so very clear, and Alec knows it at this
Yes.
point. He knows this about her, that she is Fishbowl Jamie.
Yeah.
She is so inside of her own head about what is and is not allowed, and like she
Mhm.
keeps making comments about how society does that, like what you just said, like it's societal, it's
Mhm.
all of these things. And so she's like,
It's
oh,
not
all
proper.
these penance, it's not
Right.
proper, like blah blah, because that's like one of her biggest issues with the fact that he's Scottish, period, is like, you're not a proper Englishman, and
Yeah.
like all of these things. And so I also think that I honestly believe that
Okay.
if she had at any point said, Alec, I am not
I'm serious.
comfortable with this,
Yeah.
you would have been like, okay.
Yeah. I want to believe that. I don't know that I do, but all I know is that she didn't really say that. Like,
Mhm.
there was a moment. Okay, so listen, listener. Here's what happens. So she's
If
like,
she'd said it in
"Shouldn't-"
the beginning, I will
That's
say
part
that.
of it. That's part of it.
Halfway
Yes.
through, if like halfway through she was like, okay, I'm done.
Well,
there's
and
no-
I think it's because of the circumstance under which she said, I want to stop. So she says, like, shouldn't we stop? And he's like, not yet, not yet. And she's like, okay, cool sauce. And then he gets her clothes all the way off, and like they're doing a hard makeout. She's whimpering. She's clasping his shoulders. Her legs are around him. She's into it. And then he says, oh, I don't know. I think he fingers her for a minute. And she's like, okay, it's a Highlander finger bang. I think I'm into it. He's playing me like a bagpipe. I'm cool. This is neat, but also weird. And then she keeps on being like, oh, like, don't, like, he goes to go down on her. He starts moving down her body and she tries to push him away. And she doesn't say anything, but then he puts his mouth on her and she's like, oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know. So then she almost comes like a freight train, but instead he does that depravate
edges
on her. How fucking dare he?
He does a traditional Highlander edging.
I was so mad about this. You know what? I did forgive him though, because Scottish Highlander savage that he is, maybe he doesn't know that women can come more than once in quick succession. I don't know. I was very mad about it though. So, like, give the girl her first orgasm before you come on. It's gonna be terrible in just a minute.
Give her that, well, I think that's what he was doing though. Like, if we're gonna give if we're gonna fully give him the benefit of the doubt, is because he knows that Maidenhead's gonna hurt. And so he like gets her almost there, so she's like feeling really, really good. She's like on that verge.
Yeah. But okay, so then he comes up her body and he like gets in between her legs and she says again, shouldn't we stop or something like that? And then he says, do you want to stop? And she says, no, don't stop. So then he does penetrate her and it does hurt like the dickens, I'll tell ya. And she's like, oh, Alex, like don't, stop, I want to stop, that hurts. And he's like, we're gonna settle. Where like he does a skittish mare on her.
Yeah, like he's like,
we're all good here, you know. Like, it's just right out.
Because like at this point, it's only gonna go up from here. Like the worst of this is done, right? Like
yeah. But then she's like,
she
okay.
turns into a firecracker.
She is.
He's like,
off
I'm gonna be so gentle with her, and she just turns into like a scratchy, bitey, growly, whimpery,
demanding little minx.
Yeah, like she's like full on. She got her like legs hooked around him, and she's like, trying to pull him into her, and he's just we're doing this. We're doing this.
Yeah,
that's all. It's
great.
Oh,
there you go. Period. The end. It's great. Okay. So then she falls asleep because my girl, Jamie, God, girl after my own heart, she can fall asleep literally anywhere and basically at the drop of a hat.
I mean, like, was it a really hard orgasm if you don't immediately pass out after
That's also fair. Plus, it's been a big day.
Oh my God.
You know? The emotional roller coaster alone.
I used to ride in not in 1100s saddle. Let me tell you, after 10 hours in a saddle, I don't want you to breach my maidenhead.
Everything hurts.
Like
you find muscles in your legs you did not know you had. Yeah, absolutely.
I would pass out too. Yes. Orgasm or no?
Absolutely. Yeah. So then he's like, I'm going to let her sleep in. You know, she had a big day yesterday. I did take her. Oh, because I think he tells her like your virginity is mine at some point because she's she's like, I'm a little bit embarrassed about the fact I can't help the fact that I'm a virgin. And he's like, don't you be embarrassed about that. That's the sexiest thing.
At one point, let me tell you, this got me because so we're backing up to, like a little bit right before Pound Town because she's like, I'm a virgin, and he's like, I know, and she's like, would you still want me if I'd been with a man before? And he was like,
fuck yeah,
absolutely. And she was like, it wouldn't bother you? And he was like, no, I'll just ask the name of who did it. And she was like, why? And he's like, I'd kill him,
do a big murder on him.
Yeah, there it is.
And you know what, listener? He would have reasons. Okay.
Oh yeah. Layered with reasons. A subset.
True. You know what? That's basically another paranormal creature. It is like a historical, you know, like a really historical guy.
Oh yeah.
The rules are totally different.
They really are.
Like that and Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs are always basically paranormal creatures.
I literally just recently read a book that like took that up to 10. Literally like half paranormal, half. It was a whole thing. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Do you want to come recap it with me on Veterans Day for Veterans Day?
I don't know that he's a Navy SEAL, but like we can totally.
Give a shit.
I'm down.
See,
Basically it's a military romance where they used to be in the military and then they got experimented on by the military without their knowledge.
What is more
and now they got all right, yeah. Real talk. I will shoot you a message with the name and we will discuss. Mm-hmm. We could totally do that. I also have about 8 billion recommendations for like military romances. If you want, we can totally have a discussion. I have 650
I didn't know that would be your. Yeah, I didn't know that would be your jam.
Everything's my jam.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
When you read as many books as fast as I do,
honestly,
everything
is my demon. I don't know how you do it. They talk about book dragons. No, Sabrina's a book demon. She just
because
inhales them.
I don't even hoard them. I don't because I don't own these. These are all through the library and KU. So I don't have a hoard. I just have
the hoard is all in here.
Yeah, well, not really because I don't remember much of any of it. That's why I have so many tags. I finish a book and I throw it in like tags. Like literally, when people are like, "Do you have any recommendations?" Literally, okay. The other day, one of my friends was like, "Hey, do you have a recommendation?" And I'm looking for book recommendations for Earth Day. And the theme this year is invest in the world or something like that. And I was like, hang on. I went to my Storygraph to look at tags. I literally was like, here's my tag for MC is accountant for environment.
No. No. Sabrina. That's incredible.
Yeah, we could totally have a long talk about tags sometime. Like if you're ever super specific thing. Anyway, so the point is we can discuss we can absolutely discuss like some kind. I have lots of military recommendations. So
all right. Okay, wait, Sabrina, we have to do one thing first, and that is that we are an hour and 44 minutes in and they have boned. So I think this might be episode 1, and I'm pretty sure it's chapter 9.
We are on page... Oh my God. We are on page 118. This is chapter 7. We are at the beginning of chapter 7.
I regret nothing. Sabrina, I regret nothing.
We're just getting you all set up for a Polycon, right? Like
I mean, this is honestly
because
this is
the gift. Craziest part of this. So we are at we're barely in Scotland.
Yeah.
This was what did I say? The first 50% of the book was like 20% of the plot. We have not even hit fucking Bonkers Town, which let me say, I read a lot of aliens. I read a lot of paranormal. Yeah. Well, not as much paranormal, but I read a lot of aliens and a lot of monsters.
Yeah.
That is a certain flavor of bonkers, but there's something about an old school historical.
I'm telling you, yes.
I know.
Like, yes, it's its own. I mean, that's why I'm not gonna. I will say it till I die. Bonkers can be anything. It does not have to be an extra appendage. It does not have to be anything like that. No. This is Banana Town bonkers in the best ways. Like, is it gentle rogue? I'm confusing arousal with nausea. No, it never quite gets to that level. But like, it's bananas as fuck. It's great. It's great. Okay.
My God. And like, we're sitting here describing it's bananas as fuck. It isn't even banana. This is not this is not bananas as fuck. This is just a normal historical that we have described so far, right? Yeah. This is a normal historical. And then you and I are going to come back and we're going to be like, holy son of a butthole.
We're going to be like, hold my beer.
Get ready.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, what's your lady love? What's my lady love? My lady love is...
I know mine.
Tell me everything.
So I'm a homebody. Okay. I spend 99% of my time, if I'm not at work, in my home with my dogs. Nice. For a solid 3.5 weeks, I spent half of that time not in my home for travel because of personal travel and work travel. And then in another 3 weeks, I leave my house for 2 weeks. My lady love is my armchair.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that's my lady love. Like, whenever it's like, I could say my dogs, but obviously that's a given.
Sure.
But like, specifically my armchair, and to tag along with that, my variety of seltzers, because I usually have 6 to 7 different flavors in my fridge at a time because I like a variety.
Yep, me too.
That is it. My lady love is relaxing in my armchair with a flavored seltzer.
That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing.
So good. And I'm really, really just giving it all of my love. Because I haven't been here for so, I really am. Like, I'm like, oh, I've missed it and I'm going to miss it again. So like, while I have it right now.
Nice. Yeah, you're going to savor it.
So like,
is what you're going to do.
If you don't like the chair that you sit in when you're relaxing at home, invest in a good fucking chair.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. You can get shit from yard sales that are perfect. You can get shit from discount store. Like, you do not have to get a big fancy chair.
Yeah.
Just get a chair that you love.
Yep. My lady love is BB cream. I, for a long time, only thought CC cream existed. I had to do a Google. What the fuck is the difference between a BB cream and a CC cream? I did not ask for the origins of the names because I just couldn't anymore. But like, also, what the fuck is that? Anyway,
I'm
BB cream.
Laughing because I've never heard of CC cream, but I've heard of BB cream.
Stop it. Are you serious?
Yeah. What the fuck is CC cream?
So basically the only difference is like CC cream is like, I guess, like thicker. Like it's more of a foundation instead of erring on like the lotion side. It'll just give you more coverage, I guess.
Okay.
But man, like it's hard to remember to put on SPF every day. You know, especially like in the winter or whatever, like it's hard to remember. But if I can put SPF 50 on my face and also have an even skin tone afterward, I am so much more likely to do it. And that's a gift. That's a gift. Okay. So that's my lady love is a BB cream. All right. I think keep being badass and
love yourself as much as you love talking shit about your future husband, not knowing that he's there in the stable.
You know what? Love yourself as much as you love strong horses, fat sheep, and soft, willing women.
And love yourself as much as you love wearing black to your wedding.
Yes! Also that. Like, that is up there with a revenge look, you know? God.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, this would be a great book for the HB Embrace. #revenge look.
I mean, this is so many categories.
This is a lot of categories.
Woo. All right. Okay, let's go into episode number 2. Hello?
Oh, is this how this works? All right. Holy shit.